as long as you want coaching, right? If those are the criteria, really, you have to want coaching. You have to recognize that there's a need for you to grow in some way, and you've got to be willing to put in the time and invest in yourself to do it, right? If you're unwilling to do any of those things, then probably coaching, being a coaching client is not going to be something that you're going to enjoy.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we are joined by Zac Parker. He's been a professional coach for over 8 years. He has his own coaching practice. Welcome to the show, Zac. What's going on?
Oh, I've taken my kids to the doctor today, and that was a lot of fun.
And now we're going to talk about your coaching business, man.
Yeah.
So really excited. One of the first questions I usually ask on this podcast is like the origin story, the lore. And so I'm very curious, what made you want to become a coach and eventually turn it into a business?
So, thinking back on when I wouldn't say there's a point where I just became a coach. Obviously, professionally, there is, right? There's that moment where you finally get the role as a coach that you've been wanting. That's, for people who are looking for a career in coaching, it's like, hey, I finally became a coach. Somebody hired me as a coach. So now I am officially that, right? But coaching is something that I've done pretty much my entire professional life. I mean, going all the way back to when I was in the military, when I first started in boot camp, they selected me the first week in boot camp as the education petty officer, which was an odd thing because nobody knew me from a hole in the ground. But I guess I had the best ASVAB score or something. I don't know. I don't know how they made that decision. Anyway, whatever criteria they used to make that decision, they were like, "You're going to be the education petty officer." And I was like, "What does that do?" And they said, "Well, you're going to teach everybody else here about the Navy, Blue Jackets manual, and about everything that's in it." And I was like, "I don't know any of that. How am I supposed to teach other people any of that? I don't know anything about it." They said, "Well, you're going to learn." So that's what I did. I set about learning the Blue Jackets manual, and then I taught other people about it and sort of helped them understand the history of the Navy and why we do the things that we do. And it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience for me. And then from there, every role that I had throughout my professional life, in some way, I ended up either teaching people something or training them to do something or coaching them through some kind of a transformation or, transformative process. And so it's just been kind of a thread that goes through my life. And finally, I guess I got enough hints from, above and said, "All right, fine. This is what you want me to do. Fine, I'll do it."
That's hilarious. And so, like, let's fast forward to now, right? Everybody talks about target audience and ICP. And so, who are the people that you help and what do you typically help them with?
So I like to say that I'm kind of agnostic when it comes to my ideal client profile. I don't really have, you know, like a niche that I service. If you wanted, to kind of create one, you could say, well, tech executives or military folks, I'm happy to work with people, but anybody really is, you know, as long as you want coaching, right? If those are the criteria, really, you have to want coaching. You have to recognize that there's a need for you to grow in some way, and you've got to be willing to put in the time and invest in yourself to do it, right? If you're unwilling to do any of those things, then probably coaching, being a coaching client is not going to be something that you're going to enjoy. If you like throwing money away, then yeah, come on, I can help you throw some money away. But if you want to improve yourself, that's a whole different level of commitment, right? You got to figure out what it is that you want to change, be honest with yourself, and that means being honest with me about what it is that you want to do, and then we can move forward together.
Let's talk about marketing for a second too, because you mentioned you're kind of the agnostic, right, with your ICP. And so, what kind of marketing are you kind of doing right now, and how do people typically find you on the marketing side?
So I don't do a lot of marketing,
Mm.
like advertising, that kind of stuff. I don't really do that. I do some LinkedIn content. It's kind of in fits and starts. I'll do posts here and there. I might go like a week or maybe 3 weeks of posting content daily whenever I feel like there's something worthy of talking about. And then it might go a while without saying anything because I just don't find it. I might comment on other people's stuff, and that kind of helps. But really, the social media stuff is not where I focus my marketing efforts, if you want to call them that. I do a lot of stuff in person, so like I just talk to people. I talk to my doctor. I talk to people I go to church with. I joined the Rotary Club. I'm joining the small business. The word escapes me now. The small business center. The whoever it is, the administration or whatever. That group that helps small businesses in town.
Oh, frick, I just
Yeah.
forgot the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, that too. The Chamber of Commerce, and then there's
Okay.
a small business advisory group, and I can't remember what they're called, but it's got small business in the title, and it's just escaping me right now. But there's that, and then there's like the Kiwanis Club and American Legion, and a lot of different in-person organizations that you can join, where you can just talk to people and try to see if there's a way that you can help them, and then just stopping into local businesses and saying, "Hey, here's what I do. Here's my card. If you find that you have a need for it, or if you just like me to come in and do a free half an hour, I'll be happy to do it, and you can see what I do. And then if you'd like more, we can talk about more."
Hmm. Have you ever thought about other marketing channels and stuff? I know you do a lot of in real life things, but have you ever thought about like social media, paid ads, or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. I've done some social media stuff before. I'm not great at it. And honestly, I haven't had a need to do social media stuff really until this year, and then it's just been sort of one of those things that kind of hangs around in the background, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably do that someday. But you know if I as long as I'm getting the levels of income that I'm aiming for through word of mouth and in-person sort of stuff, I'm not too worried about social media.
Hmm.
Is it something that I want to pursue eventually? Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
I think it's
Okay. Yeah. Just was really curious about that because everybody's switching to digital, and personally, I love in real life events and stuff like that, but I was just like curious on that end. Okay. So people are finding you from these events, talking to people. And so maybe they inquire about coaching, I guess, right? And they want to do coaching with you. What do your different coaching modalities look like? Do you do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, organizational trainings? I would love to kind of hear your different coaching offers.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I do comes from John Maxwell. So
Mm.
there's a guy named Chris Robinson who's part of the John Maxwell organization, and he does a really great thing. He says, we only do 5 things in Maxwell. We do coaching, speaking, training, behavior assessment, and the leadership game. And
Yep.
so that's kind of in the nutshell, what we do, right? Now, coaching can take one-on-one, or it can take group coaching, you know, modalities, I guess, if you want to call it that. But then there's also in the training, we do masterminds, group book study, right? To be pedantic about it. It's a way to, different people do masterminds in different ways, right?
Hmm.
So I know some masterminds, they try to bring CEOs and executives from different areas, different organizations all together in one room. And then you get the benefit of, you know, their intelligence. And also you make connections, networking with other people in other organizations, which is great. I have no problems with that, but that's not the kind of mastermind that we really focus on. You can bring those people in and do the network if you want, but what we really focus on is not so much the people in the room as the material that we want the people in the room to be able to take away, right? It's not just a networking event, it's an experience that's supposed to help you raise the level of your leadership lid so that you can become a better leader. And that's really the focus of everything that we do is leadership development.
I see. Something I also want to ask too, because You mentioned you starting your own practice, and so I'm curious about your future goals and stuff with that. So, where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have any secret dreams, big ambitions no one knows about? I'd love to hear about that.
I wouldn't say there's anything that's really ambitious. I just want to be able to help people and, serve people in a way that aligns with my values, my personal faith and my values for my family. Be able to serve people and help them to become better leaders and, make better products. So part of my background is being a product owner.
Mm.
So before I became an agile coach, which is what I did for the last 8 years, I was a product owner, and I did that for about 8 years. And a product owner is someone who interfaces with a development team to sort of set the vision for where a product ought to go. Right? So you're kind of listening to what customers are saying about your product. Is this solving a real problem? Are we solving a problem that is not just being solved, but something that the customer actually wants to pay for, right? If we're not solving a problem that people want to pay for, then it doesn't matter how many problems we solve because we're not going to make any money off of it. But so you take that idea and then you set the vision for the development team about whatever it is you're building. And you say, look, this is the problem that the customer is facing. How do we solve that problem? We need to go down this road. And so that's a discussion that you have. And then, that turns into hopefully a product at some point that people can actually use. So that kind of mindset really drives where I'm going with my coaching is I want to build, I see people as products, right? Like people are products. You're a product of the books that you read, the physical fitness, journey that you take yourself on, the faith that you have, the family that you have, your financial situation. All these things are products of the intention that, approach your life with. And I can help you to, increase all of that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thank you for explaining what I think the terminology used was a product coach. Was that the initial
Yeah, product owner. Yeah.
product owner? Sorry,
Yeah.
product owner. And I'm kind of curious, like in this season of your business, what kind of challenges, bottlenecks are you kind of just noticing in your business right now?
Bottleneck challenges. I mean, there's a never ending list of challenges. How do I improve the website? Do I have the pricing right? Do I have the offer strategy right? Do I have the marketing stuff the way that I need it to be done? Do I need to increase the amount of people I'm talking to? Am I going to have enough, conversions for the next quarter to, continue to feed my family? Do I
Important.
like, there's lots of things a small business owner that you got to take into consideration. And so you're constantly trying to make sure that everything is covered and that you're, you know, serving people that you want to serve. You want to make sure that you're still serving your clients, but you also have to make sure in the process that you're making enough money for yourself that you're able to continue to serve people and not starve to death.
Yeah, starting to death isn't a desired outcome. Something else I'm very, very curious about. I would like to play a game with you as well, Zach. It's called First, Last, Best, Worst. And this season, I think we're one of the things that's on my mind is like a lot of coaches, they invest into certain things, right? So I'm very curious about business investments. It could be coaching, it could be training, it could be marketing, team, masterminds, anything, right? And so I'm just gonna prompt you like a question and just tell me what's on your mind with it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. First business investment that you remember.
I started a business when I came home from Iraq. Right after I got married, I bought a house, and I was like, I'm going to start a business. And I spent, I think I spent $500 or $600 on what was that? LegalZoom. They had it was like 15, maybe more than that, 16 or 17 years ago. And they were advertising all the time. Start your own business for $50 or whatever it was. And I was like, okay. And then I went and signed up for it. It was $500. And I was like, wait, this is not $50. And they're like, well, yeah, but we sent you this little thing with your seal on it, created your name, and you got a website and you got this and you got that. And I was like, oh. And then Years later, I realized I could have done all that for $35. Just doing it myself, file it through the Secretary of State. But yeah, that was the first thing that I did.
Okay. That's hilarious, by the way. I haven't heard that company in forever, but I do remember that company. Okay. Last business investment you made.
The last business investment that I made was my Maxwell certification. That was about $9,000 that I. So that includes the base certification and then the mentorship add-on. But that, I'd happily pay that again. I don't have to, thank God. But if I had the choice of, doing it or not doing it, I'd absolutely do it again.
What did you love so much about the Maxwell certification? What was so valuable for you?
Well, there are a lot of coaching programs out there that they try to teach you how to be a coach. Maxwell's got a pretty good, coaching program that they take you through, and they do a pretty good job of emphasizing this kind of a Socratic approach to coaching. So from that side, it's like on par, maybe a little bit better, but I'd say probably on par, maybe above average with everybody else. Where things changed though, where they got different was the level of support that's outside of that coaching program, right?
Yeah.
And it's everything that you could imagine, anything you possibly want to have, from business cards, right? I mean, they got business cards that are pre-formatted for you. Like all you got to do is order them. They get
Yeah.
website. They build a website for you. They've got, if you want posters and flyers, all the marketing materials you could ever ask for, they've got all that stuff built for just about every level of content that's available to you. They've got these things called the leadership game, which is like it's a gamified
Wow,
conversation.
got all the stuff right near you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I go through this stuff quite a bit, but it's they have the number of people that are just willing, that have just jumped on a call with me. Like I ask somebody, they run a class, right? They've got classes all the time within the certification program. And so they've got these classes scheduled throughout the week, multiple times per day. And you can jump in whenever you want and just, talk to whoever's running the class. And the number of people who've run those classes that are just willing to, I have them now in my phone. Like they're just a personal contact. I can call them and say, hey, Professor Jeff, help me out with this. And he's like, all right, give me 30 minutes and I'll call you back. Right. But they just jump on a phone call and they're like, okay, here's what you got to do. This. Or they just, coach you through it. And it's like unbelievable the amount of personal attention and support that you get through this organization. And it really, that alone, if you didn't have any of the other stuff, that alone, I think, is worth its weight in gold.
Would you consider this your best investment?
Absolutely.
Okay. That covers last and best. Now let's do your worst. Your worst business investment that you kind of wish you got your money back from.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess I would say the first worst investment that I made that I wish that I had gotten my money back from. There was a guy here locally who claimed that he had a way to make moves quickly within the crypto market. And he was essentially creating an algorithm where, it would analyze what was going on in the market and then buy and sell. And he was making money off of this. And he said, so here's what I'm doing with people. It's not an investment. This is a loan. You're creating a loan to me. And so, sign a promissory note. And because you signed the promissory note, like there's no way for me to get out of it. And so I talked to some people about it, and there were quite a few people that invested in this thing. And yeah, I lost a lot of money in that. But that all happened, like he was starting that, and I don't know if he was full of crap, which I think he probably was, or if it was just the fact that it all started right before COVID, right? 2020 happened like 3 months after I made my investment, and then everything just fell apart. Everything's, destroyed. And he was like, I can't pay any of this back. It's all gone. And he got sued for millions, and I talked to an attorney and they were like, yeah, I mean, you could sue him, but everybody else has already sued him. So
There's
they
nothing
got
out of
he's
it.
got to pay them first, and he doesn't have any money apparently. So no one's ever going to get anything out of it. So yeah, I wish I had that money back, but you know, that's you know, it's one of those things I try to tell my wife that sometimes things happen. You can even in major business deals, you run into situations where you think that there's a sure thing, that there's a good deal on the other side of it, and then you make your investment and things just fall apart. And so that's all right. You get burned and then you start to realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done, but how would you have known? I don't know.
Which leads me to my last point. This is my last question for you. As you're sharing your stories of your investments, I guess, how has your decision making process changed over the years and what you decide to invest in? From your legal Zoom days to your John Maxwell certification days.
So I try to invest in only things that I really understand. You know, if I don't have a good understanding of it, then I don't want any part of it. And it's got to be something where a bit of influence over the development process of whatever that is, right? I have to at least be able to say at some point, eject. I want out. I don't want to be part of this anymore. If I can't do that, then I don't want to be involved in it.
That's a great insight. Yeah, that's a really, really great insight. How many times I think about some of the times I've been locked into an investment for like a whole year or something, whether it was a coaching program, I was like, this is not worth it. I wish I could eject, but you bring up a great point. Okay. Zach, last question. How can people find and connect with you?
ZachParkerCoaching.com. It's just like it sounds. That's the website. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn/SMB Coach, like small, medium-sized business coach, SMB. Yeah, those are probably the two best ways to get in contact with me.
Thank you so much, Zach, about like sharing your experience. Really interesting hearing your crypto experience and the John Maxwell like experience too. But yeah, like I appreciate all the knowledge that you dropped on us today. Yeah, thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.